Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome aboard. Happy Tuesday and another week, another day, another cold one, but it's warming up a little bit. Glad to have you along. Thanks a lot for joining us here on this Tuesday. I hope you're staying warm and just getting through the week, enjoying it. Big week, big game week, I guess I should say. Big day today, as always. Another fun Tuesday. Mike DeCourcy joins us as always. But in Campbell's Corner, Jim Cruz, blast from the past today. Former IU basketball player and coach, as well as coaches many other places. Played for the Hoosiers back in 72 to 76. Pretty good time to wear the candy stripes. So looking forward to that. Another fun day. Appreciate everybody joining us as always, no matter where or how you're listening. The NFL, more news regarding their Hall of Fame and the Patriots. Ironically, a lot was made out of Bill Belichick not making the Hall of Fame on his first round, which, I mean, he made a lot of people mad, but not that he doesn't deserve to be in there. He does. But now Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, apparently not selected on his first foray either. So I guess turnabout's fair, but yeah, how about them apples? Just thought that was just funny how that this is going. It's not like that either of them are not Hall of Famers, my goodness, for their contributor portion. But it's the games people play. The games people play. What are you going to do? Hey, man, the Big Ten is rolling. Basketball season is deep in it for the Big Ten. Other games last night, another huge game in the Big 12, Kansas and Texas Tech. Tried to watch that game, but I didn't make it through the end. 64-61, the Jayhawks, number 11 Jayhawks, come out on top of that game. But more importantly, Darren Peterson finished the game. Hits two late threes to beat Texas Tech. Darren Peterson was happy to finally finish a game for number 11 Kansas and the Jayhawks. And they certainly needed him, the standout freshman. Texas Tech, number 13. First game I got through the end, Peterson said. I've been trying all year. So finally to do it is a blessing. Peterson scored 19 points while playing a season high 35 minutes. But his only two field goals in the second half were those late three-pointers. Talk about him because that could be the guy you see in Indianapolis next year. You never know. But those are two good teams that will be playing a role in the tournament this year for certain. Speaking of hoops, Carmelo Anthony unhappy with the state of Syracuse hoops. Well, join the club. I mean, you can complain about stuff all you want nowadays, but are you giving money? That would be the first question I asked. Is he giving a bunch to the NIL fund at Syracuse? Maybe he is. I don't know. Arizona stays number one Michigan is number 2 in the latest AP poll. I mean, it's 1A, 1B. Arizona is still undefeated at 22-0, so they've got that going for them. Michigan has the loss. How about UConn? Again, up there, 21-1 right now. Duke, number 4, 20-1. The Illini climb into the top 5 after a huge win at Nebraska on Sunday. Gonzaga, Iowa State, Houston's number 8, Nebraska, number 9, Michigan State, number 10. That gives the Big Ten 4 teams in the top 10 in basketball. Sounded like we're talking about football again, huh? Well, then you got Purdue at number 12, so there's a 5th team in the top 12. Yeah, it's going to be very heavy at the top this year. That's going to put more pressure on the Big Ten. Uncle Phil says Arizona's got a gauntlet schedule coming up, most of their tough Big 12 games. It's a fun conference to watch, too. I've got to tell you. Let's see. Mentioned Texas Tech at number 13, North Carolina 14. How about Vanderbilt? Vanderbilt, number 15. Man. BYU, AJ DeBanson, number 16. There's Florida, Virginia, St. Louis. St. Louis, 21-1. I mentioned them. You know who their coach is. Yeah. Shirts, formerly of Indiana State, Robbie Avila. I think you still got him there. Boy, that was a coach that people passed on that they're probably going to regret. Clemson, number 20. You got the Indiana native there coaching. Arkansas, John Calipari. St. John's and Rick Pitino, number 22. Miami of Ohio, 22-0. How about that? Yeah, Illinois, Uncle Phil says, talking about Illinois' Keaton Wagner, could be the first freshman to ever win Big Ten Player of the Year. The dude's a bad man. I know he's had some good games. He's been a 4-time Freshman of the Year, I think. I'm trying to think if I don't know that I mean, that would be amazing. The dude's a bad man. 46 points in that win at Purdue. 46. Get out of here with that. I mean, he's something, man. And I know the Brett Underwood offered him sight unseen. It never saw him play. So there's that. Louisville and Tennessee round out the top 25 there. I don't see where I don't have the other votes in front of me. So Dusty May and Tom Izzo accuse each other's teams of dirty play in last Friday's game. Michigan coach Dusty May and Michigan State coach Tom Izzo are accusing each other's teams of dirty play in the Wolverines' 83-71 victory in East Lansing last Friday. During one sequence in the game, Michigan State star Jeremy Fears Jr. made contact with Yaxel Landenberg, appearing to trip the Michigan star. May said it was intentional. Appeared it wasn't an illusion, May told reporters. I think there were several plays that are very dangerous, and I'm incredibly proud of our guys for their response, yada, yada, whatever. Man, you do what you do what you get away with. I'm not going to say it's all right, but I mean, that's just part of sports. 17 athletes have joined a lawsuit versus ex-North Carolina State sports medicine director. I mean, lawsuits everywhere. Here's a lawsuit. There's a lawsuit. You got a lawsuit. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Also, there was something else. Someone suing for eligibility that I saw, and daggone it, I forgot. It's Joey Aguiar from Tennessee. He wants more eligibility. Of course he does. Why not? It's a big payday. But just because it's a big payday does not mean you deserve more time to do it. I mean, these guys are all like, man, we got to take advantage of this. And I get that. But think of how the guys feel that were right before you, who did not get to get paid, who worked just as hard, do just as much. So, yeah, I'm not up to speed on that particular one. And I will have to read to see where he is pulling this from. The complaint filed Friday in Knox County Chancery Court in Tennessee argues that Aguiar should be allowed a fourth year of playing Division I football rather than having the years he spent in junior college count against his eligibility. See, I thought this was already decided. Why there's another a JUCO thing coming up? I thought that, yeah, we'll see. Hey, let's take a break. Mike DeCourcy is going to join us first. Jim Cruz joins us later on in Campbell's Corner. Appreciate you being with us. Yeah, Illinois is they're a good team. Cindy, you are not wrong. Hey, we've got more coming up. Appreciate you being with us on this Tuesday. We're back with plenty more right after these messages.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era and possibly the greatest college team ever. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at the link on your screen. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Jim Coyle with you as always, joined by the great Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News and Big Ten Network. And Mike, the Big Ten basketball season is rolling right now. I'm just going through the top 25 and 5 teams in the top 12. I mean, it's like, wow, are we talking football or basketball here? Man, Big Ten just the dominant conference in college sports right now. And don't know if this is going to be the year that they get that monkey off of their back, but it's as good as any.
Well, they certainly have a chance. I still look at teams like Arizona and Houston as maybe being better equipped to win the championship than anyone in the Big Ten. But it's interesting. I've worked at the Big Ten Network since 2010. So by that point, the drought was already 10 years old. And it's talked about a lot, obviously, within Big Ten basketball circles, but it's never really been an obsession for me because I see how close they've come on so many occasions, it's not like they're not playing good basketball. It's not like they're not playing great basketball. It's just, sometimes you get a bad break. The foul call against Trey Burke is one of the, maybe the single worst call in my 40 years or so of being around the Final Four. I came after, that 40 years encompasses the Rumeal Robinson, the foul that sent Rumeal Robinson to the line in '89 and won it for Michigan. But that's the one Final Four I did not go to since '87. So that one always slips my mind. But even that call, I think, was a great call compared to the Burke call. If Trey Burke gets credit for the block there, it could have changed the final 4 or 5 minutes of that game. And instead, you have Peyton Siva go to the line, make free throws, and change it in the other direction. Michigan can be blamed for the fact that they couldn't keep Shane Bohannon off the offensive boards. That was a huge part of why they lost as well. But they put a great effort in. Wisconsin can be blamed for not changing their defense when Grayson Allen started driving the ball down their throats. But they were right there. I'm sorry?
They should have tripped it. They should have tripped it.
Oh, yes. That was the Grayson's
Tripgate
move, right? So they've been there. It's not bothered me that they haven't won it. But if you're a competitor within the league, it's going to bother you.
Yeah, and it's not like in football, the SEC was kind of dominating football, but it hasn't been that way in basketball. It's been, equal opportunity in that regard.
What's astounding about that is that the Big Ten has now won 3 consecutive football championships, and yet the start of every year, it's as if there's a reset, and the SEC is the best again. And we saw it this past season. The SEC went through the entire regular season being lauded as by far the best conference. They got 5 teams in a 12-team playoff, and then basically only beat each other. Almost no victories from their cohort outside their conference. In bowl games, they were atrocious. And yet when we start next season, I'm telling you, Jim, it's going to be the same all over again. The SEC is going to be looked at as clearly the superior conference. And
Texas will be number 1. Arch Manning will be the Heisman Trophy favorite.
There you go. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, without question. No doubt. But the college basketball season has been fun. Speaking of Arizona, hey, they're undefeated right now, but they've got a tough portion of their schedule coming up in the Big 12, which is a tough place to play. A tough game last night. And for Darren Peterson, they've got, I guess that he's the best player in the country.
He's the most talented.
Yeah, he got through an entire game last night. And
when he plays at crunch time, he's pretty good, huh?
Yeah,
but when he sits for the whole second half, not a lot happens.
No, and that's something that NBA teams, will have to look at. They're watching the rest of the season, saying, "Hey, man, can you get through a season?"
Yes. This is one of the interesting components of this because there was a lot of speculation when he sat the second half against BYU that it was load management and all that sort of stuff. And he was facing another game on the road against a great opponent 2 days later. But if there's someone who is in his life, whoever that might be, who is saying this is the way to attack this, because it'll protect you for the NBA draft, that's incorrect information. If it's happening because he legitimately needs the rest because his legs are still cramping, that's an issue that will also impact him at the NBA level. That's something that the NBA is going to say, man, that guy's really good and I'd love to have him. But if I get him and I get another Zion Williamson, I pass up AJ DeBonsa to get another Zion. I'd rather have the guy who's on the floor every minute. And that's something that he and his entourage, people, whatever. I mean, and they have them now officially. They have agents, et cetera now. They have to consider that. And I think the more he plays like he did last night, even though he wasn't as effective for a lot of the game, he comes out and he makes 2 threes that win the game for Kansas in the final 90 seconds or so. Both of them just phenomenal shots. I mean, the one from the right corner off the flare screen was ridiculous, Jim. I mean, that was a big time shot. That was like an all-timer kind of player needs to shoot that shot for it to go in, and it did. Because I really believe he can be one of the greats if he's physically up to it, and if he can find the gear. I was talking with one of my editors about this yesterday, and one of the things that people don't understand about why Kevin Durant is as great as he is, and why LeBron James is as great as he is, and why the late Kobe Bryant was as great as he was, is because even after they've attained stardom and possibly championships, they're still out there in the middle of July when they could be doing anything, Jim. They're loaded. They're rich. They're sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars. And instead of like being in Monte Carlo on the beach, they are in a gym busting their tails. And if you're Darren Peterson or you're AJ DeBonsa and you want to be one of those guys, you have to develop that hunger. You have to have that taste for work that is just the way I was when I was telling my editor this, he brought up, he's a big tennis guy, and he brought up guys like Alcaraz and Djokovic and players like that, and why they are able to separate themselves. And the way one of the other tennis players put it is that they're willing to go to a dark place. This hunger inside you that pushes you to work beyond what is reasonable for someone who's already highly successful. And that's something that I hope that Darren Peterson and AJ DeBonsa find. And I'm not saying there's any obstacle to that. I'm just saying I hope that they understand eventually that that's what's required, because I'd like to see them become the next generation, along with Cooper Flagg, of standard bearers for American basketball.
Yeah, and what a season this has been. But we have continued more shenanigans, as now former Charlotte Hornets NBA player Amari Bailey, looking for D1 eligibility, actually got into NBA games here. So now we're crossing yet another threshold, different from the G League, from the NBA. And I just don't know how this is even possible that we're even here. It's as if, the NCAA cannot make their own rules.
Well, that's the question, Jim, is whether they're allowed to do that. And you had the NCAA president, Charlie Baker, say, I guess, basically 3 weeks ago, look, this is where we're drawing the line. If you signed an NBA contract and you played in the NBA, you're not playing in our league. It's not possible. That was what he said. And then Charles Bediako, who signed NBA contracts but never played in the league. Charles Bediako never got into an NBA game, challenged that in a court in Alabama, and just happened to be assigned a judge who is on the record as a donor to Alabama athletics, and whose wife apparently is the defense attorney in the case that came up in 2023, the awful shooting in Tuscaloosa, and he got approved to play. He got a temporary restraining order, and so now like I said, he had never played in a game, but he had signed an NBA. I think he signed a two-way, some kind of NBA contract. But I think it was a two-way.
Yeah, it was a two-way.
He just never got the one good way after signing it, and so he is now playing at Alabama, and the NCAA, to my knowledge, is fighting that they are still in court over that. And the judge in the case has recused himself after the NCAA petitioned for that. I mean, that's the obstacle you're up against, Jim. If you're the NCAA, is home court advantage, literally.
In every state, because that's the problem. It's not, you're not going up against one entity. You're going up against 50 in 50 states. Everybody in their own state has their own home court advantage, as you just pointed out.
Yeah, I mean, we got into this circumstance several years ago, 2-3 years ago, when there was a similar petition, not NBA level, but for extra eligibility over this or that. And it's a different state's court that's ruling. And it's just, it's really difficult for the NCAA. It's one of the reasons why they're constantly pleading for congressional action. I am sympathetic to their plea for congressional action. I'm not sympathetic to their plea for the specific action that they want. I don't think that their requests are reasonable. Their requests are much too much oriented toward the way it used to be, and not oriented enough to how can we make this circumstance currently more tenable for the competition, so that players aren't changing teams from year to year, maybe just from year to year once, but not from year to year to year to year, where you have a guy playing for 4 different teams in 4 years. Perhaps some sort of limitation. We saw at Duke, the quarterback at Duke, who after signing a contract, an NIL contract at Duke, wanted to transfer. And ultimately what the initial reaction from sports attorneys was that they can probably not keep him from leaving. He's got the freedom to leave, but that his contract is enforceable to some degree. And it was in the end. Duke, I believe, will get compensated for his departure, but it's hard to replace a quarterback on the last day of the transfer portal. It's a tough deal. And I feel badly for Duke that was allowed to happen in that sense. But I think if they moved toward, Jim, collective bargaining in some way, they don't necessarily have to be employees in order to have some sort of collective bargaining agreement, and that would cover these late transfers, that would cover these multiple transfers, that would cover what the contracts, how enforceable the contracts are, and that would cover who's eligible. You played in the NBA? Well, our CBA says no, you can't play here. But they don't have a CBA to point to, and they aren't working toward it, Jim. They aren't trying hard enough. They should be on, like, they should be working out the details now of how they can do a CBA, instead of constantly pushing for more restrictive congressional action that would subvert the very idea of a CBA, a collective bargaining agreement, that would move this thing forward to where it needs to be.
And I agree, but I wonder, with people like Cody Campbell and the like, well, is that even possible? Because it just seems like there's always going to be somebody that has money that wants it a little different way to whether it's for their school they support or whatever the case is, enough to muck it up.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if the schools were moving toward a collective bargaining agreement, some form of that, if they were moving toward that, how would Cody Campbell impede that? Unless he just said, okay, Texas Tech's not in favor. Okay, so that's one vote against. But that doesn't mean the other, I don't know, depending on how you did this. If you did Division I football, you're talking about 135-ish schools. The other 134 might vote for it. So he isn't necessarily going to stop it. He can lobby against it. He can do his little TV ads, but that doesn't necessarily mean he can stop it. So I think that the longer they wait to move toward collective bargaining, Jim, the longer we wait to see what so many are arguing for, which is the NCAA be able to say to Amari Bailey, "Hey, Amari, when you left UCLA, there weren't 7 people in the country that thought you were ready to play in the league. He barely played I shouldn't say barely, but his first year at UCLA, his only year at UCLA, was limited by injury. So he didn't play a full complement of games in his freshman year. He missed a significant amount of time because of injury. And his skill level was not supportive of a player who would play in the league. So the fact that he didn't make it was about as predictable as it's going to snow here in Pittsburgh before the winter's over. But he didn't make it, and so now it's somebody else's fault. No, I mean, I am sympathetic to a degree to someone like Bediako for a couple of reasons. One, because he's an international student, his income opportunities at the college level were limited. We've seen that with multiple college players. We saw that with Zach Edey. Even though he was the best college basketball player in the country for 2 years running, his income opportunities were limited. Well, now with revenue share, I think he's able to be paid some of that revenue share. I believe that's why he would be interested in being back in college basketball, or maybe his citizenship status has changed. I don't know exactly what it is that is allowing Bediako to play, but the fact that the game is different now, I am a little sympathetic to that. But it wasn't different for Amari. Amari Bailey had the opportunity to stay at UCLA and make money, and he knew it. And they would have liked to have had more money available at UCLA to pay him at the time. They've significantly increased their fundraising in recent time. But regardless, he knew that there was money available in college basketball for him, and he thought he was ready for the league. Like I said, it wasn't hard to figure out that he wasn't.
Yeah, that's how many times has that scenario played out? But now everyone's looking for a litigious I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but anyway, they want to go through the courts, and the same with football. Joey Aguiar, Tennessee, looking for another year, and it has to do with JUCO. And I'm like, I thought this was already decided. Why are we having the same arguments over and over? I mean, if this is decided for that, let it be that. But
it's the same. But it's the same. It's the same idea that you can find a court that's friendly to you, and that's unfortunate.
Or a judge.
It should be about it should be about the law. And the reality of college athletics is that if you play in junior college, Jim, if you're attending a junior college, this is really simple. I mean, this is the simplest thing I've ever seen. If you attend a junior college, most of your credits are transferable to a Division I. As a matter of fact, I guarantee you can find a Division I university that will take all your credits if that's your priority, and not necessarily where you're going to play or what level or whatever. I guarantee you, if you're at a junior college, that that you can find a college that'll take all your credits. But so why shouldn't the sports count? Why shouldn't your time playing in junior college count? It's preposterous to say they're different.
Well, you know what? I mean, this is a point. James says American sports should not even be tied to universities anymore. Well, I mean, I get that sentiment, but
yeah, but I should be 6'8". Come on. I mean,
yeah,
it's
that's
just
good. Yeah, me too. Damn.
I mean, I should dunk.
Exactly.
I should be able to dunk, Jim. I mean, they shouldn't be tied. I mean, it's as now this is 2025. This started in 1869. It escalated by the 1900s. It was everywhere. So now we're going to completely change everything. I mean, that's pretty pipe dreamish to say that it shouldn't be. Well, yeah, I mean, I know, but there's lots of things in life that shouldn't be. But of all the things that we could change, if we could change them, I'm not sure that sports being tied to colleges is one that I would necessarily get rid of.
Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, Big Ten Network with me right now. More coming up right after we take a quick break.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC, local lives here.
Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Glad to have you along. Jim Coyle with you as always, joined by Mike DeCourcy, who always joins us each Tuesday, and was looking through your brackets yesterday, just out of curiosity, because I saw that Indiana's won 3 in a row, so I'm not going to say they were left for dead, but I did not expect them to make the tournament this year. I'll be honest with you, just because I just hadn't seen quite enough. But, man, this 3-game win streak that they could turn into 6, possibly, the way the schedule sets up. But they've got a tough ask again tonight on the road at USC. But coming off of wins over Purdue at home, huge. And then to go on the road and get that win at Pauley, for the first time that those teams have ever met out there, Mike. But big time, the metrics are really liking Indiana right now from what I've seen so far. And that's good for them, because that has not been the case in the last few years. But they've just got to continue to do what they have been doing. They're not going to beat every team they play. I know that. They've got a tough schedule, and they play in the toughest league in the country, but they can get themselves into the tournament.
Yeah, when my bracket comes out today, this around noon or so on the Fox social site at CBB on Fox, they'll be promoted. Let's say, won't say where, but they'll
first
be
four out. First four out.
As a matter of fact, I think they'll. Well, I mean, I think they get a significant promotion, because I'm pretty sure they were out of Friday's bracket. Were they not?
They were.
Yeah, so they get a pretty significant promotion, because now they're in, and
there you go,
pretty good. So. Yeah,
well,
I mean,
I was gonna say, I hope it's not a jinx since they got a game tonight, but yeah,
I can't promise, but hey, if they're jinxed, so is just about everybody, because there's like
there you go.
There's like 68 teams, so they all got to play somebody. I think they're playing extraordinarily well. They really fought in that UCLA game, on the road at Pauley, going into double overtime, and they never gave up on the game, and it would have been easy, especially when they fell behind in the first overtime. I think it got to 3, and UCLA had the ball to go up double score and couldn't score. So I thought that their fight was really important. We're seeing Nick Dorn. His escalation over the past several games has been the biggest difference. I mean, Lamar Wilkerson's been there all year, but Dorn, his improvement and his contribution, I think, has been the biggest difference. Lamar Wilkerson's been there all year, but Dorn, his improvement and his contribution, I think, has been the biggest difference. Lamar Wilkerson's been there all year, but Dorn, his improvement and his contribution, I think, has been the biggest difference. His has been it was the difference in both the Purdue game and the UCLA game.
Absolutely, and they're getting Indiana getting great production from guys because they're a very short list of players that they can draw from right now, and that's another thing that has been impressive because they've been without Tate Conaway through this stretch and have been forced to do some other things. Tucker DeVries not have been producing the way he had been, but he's doing other things. And then you've got Nick Dorn, who has elevated his play to he's not 1A, of course, with Lamar Wilkerson, but boy, he's become 1B.
I mean, look at it. What happened on Saturday? Tucker DeVries, he's not scoring like maybe they'd hoped, or I'm sure he hopes. But he had 10 defensive rebounds in that game. He had 7 assists. He played 46 minutes. That's remarkable. When the game went 50, he played 46 minutes. Dorn played 48. Wilkerson played 43. Those guys were warriors.
Well, if Mike Woodson would have been the coach, they'd have played half that amount.
But I'm sure that there's a certain point that UCLA would have wished that were the case because they did not give up in a game where it would have been easy to say, oh, we gave it a good go. This team's playing at home and they're scoring. Let's just go home. And instead they got it done and they ran that great inbound play to get the foul at the end. It was a remarkable performance in double OT to get a road win at Pauley Pavilion. And I know some of the Indiana folks went out there and got a chance to experience what a cool deal it was to be at Pauley. There are so many positives to this conference expansion thing, and one of them is the opportunity to go see games in iconic arenas like Pauley, like the Rose Bowl, like the LA Coliseum. And tonight's game against USC is not an iconic venue. The Galen Center is not iconic, but it is a really cool place to watch a hoop game. It's 8,500, maybe less, and you are right on top. I mean, you are right there. If you're in the arena, you are right there.
This is Duke, so this is Cameron-esque.
It is kind of, yeah. It's a newer version, obviously, and it's really one of the interesting things in my visits there. I've been there probably for 4 games or so, 5 maybe, and in where they had at the time, and I haven't been back for several years, but they used to have they always have had the media in the one end zone, and in front of the media section were all the agents, all those LA-based agents that wanted to either sign the USC players or the players that are coming in, the Arizona, UCLA, whoever it might have been. There was a whole big bunch of them, and now all those agents probably already have guys on both teams,
and the coach probably. But yeah, and I did notice also the Big Ten. Indiana is on this West Coast swing, as is Rutgers. So they have another team on this swing because they're swapping games. But I'm just wondering, what is Mick Cronin going to complain about with this? Because he is the complainingest coach I have ever seen in my life. My God, he is always complaining about something, whether it's the travel, the schedule, his players. It is just constant with him.
The funny thing is, Jim, I've known Mick for just short of 30 years. When I moved from Memphis to cover the Cincinnati Bearcats and college basketball for the Cincinnati Enquirer, I met him like almost on my first day on the beat. And he was at that point the video coordinator for Bob Huggins and the Bearcats. And he quickly rose to assistant coach. And within 7 years, I think, of me meeting him, he was a coach at Murray State, and he's gone on to do what he's done there, Cincinnati, now UCLA. And he's really one of the coolest guys. He's really a good guy. And if you spend time with him, he's relaxed, he's chill, he's funny, he's generous. And I do think I wish he showed that side of him to more people than me and my wife and some others. He's a great dad. great guy, and he's somebody that has your back if you play for him. I mean, it's hard to play for him, just like with Gene Katie or Tom Izzo or Kelvin Sampson. He's going to coach you hard, and you know that going in. But if you play for him and you play hard for him, he has your back all through. The same way that all those Michigan State guys go back to Izzo. That's the way it is with Mick. And like I said, I wish more people saw that side of him instead of the part complaining about the schedule and that sort of thing.
What is it about UCLA and USC, or are they, as far as NIL, and because they're in Los Angeles, are they having trouble with that aspect of it?
UCLA did at the start have trouble with that at the very beginning of this concept, because UCLA folks were used to being a prime choice because of the campus, because of the location, and because of the history of the program. They thought, well, we don't need money to get players. Everybody else was doing it, but they didn't.
Well, they sure used to when Sam Gilbert was around.
That was different. But they didn't. No. Remember, if you read the Sam Gilbert stories, it was never to get them. It was more to keep them happy.
Keep them. Yes.
So in this circumstance, after about the first year, and this did coincide with the Amari Bailey time, they started to escalate their efforts to try to raise money, and they are now fine in that department. They are certainly in a situation where they can be competitive, and that's why, for instance, you saw Donovan Dent, who was very coveted on the market, on the transfer portal market last year after excelling at New Mexico in 24-25. UCLA was able to be the successful suitor for him, for instance. And that probably wouldn't have been the case in 2023 or 2024.
Speaking of Mick Cronin, Indiana, tonight, their game against USC is 10 o'clock Eastern time. That is a little late for an Eastern team and their fans, especially in the East, where they would probably want them watching. Doesn't seem like a good schedule to me.
Well, it is a challenge, especially on a Tuesday. I think more of that should be on the weekend, toward Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think that would be nice for the Eastern fan. At that point, if you're not staying up for it because when it's on the weekend, it's because you're not staying up for anything. So I think that does make it a challenge. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that game's on Peacock.
Yep.
So it's not
which makes people even happier.
Yeah, so it's not as easy to program your DVR and that sort of thing. So I get that. I get the frustration with that, without a doubt.
Yeah, no disagreement there. Switching subjects a little bit. Well, not a little bit, a lot. Steve Tisch is a part owner of the Giants, and now he has popped up on the Epstein deal, and the NFL now looking into that. That can't be good for them. And bad timing on top of that. The big week of the game, Super Bowl coming up this Saturday. So I'm sure that's not what they would like to have in the news right now.
Yeah, there's a terrific column by ESPN. Dan Wetzel did a great column about this very subject that appeared yesterday. I would recommend it, and basically challenging the NFL to investigate this based on their personal conduct policy, which, if I remember the article correctly, indicates that it's not just the player that is subject to that policy. It is anyone that works within the NFL umbrella, whether that's league office or
that's basically how they got rid of Dan Snyder. Right? Or forced him to sell. Right.
It also happened in Charlotte with a prior owner, Richardson, that they investigated him based on the personal conduct policy. So he's challenging the NFL to look into Tisch and what may or may not have happened. And I think that absolutely that Dan is right, that an investigation into the policy is warranted. And then it shows whatever it shows, but certainly an investigation is warranted based on that release.
No doubt, and that will be more forthcoming. Speaking of the Super Bowl, man, who you got? We've got the Seahawks, a replay of 2015.
Yes.
I think the Seahawks get their they do not have a Super Bowl, correct?
No, they do. They won the year before. They beat the Broncos.
Okay.
With Peyton. Peyton's first go around as a Bronco in the Super Bowl. They beat them pretty handily, if I remember correctly. But this is their chance to get a little revenge for their own stupidity, Jim. They were on the 1 yard line with timeouts in their pocket, and instead of giving the ball to the guy they call Beast Mode, who had
throw a 2-yard pass.
They try to throw a pass. Without trying, like if you try and he doesn't get in, okay, like maybe then you think about opening up the playbook a little bit. But they didn't even give it a go. I mean, it's the most ridiculous decision ever made.
It'll go down in history because it was millions and millions and millions of people watching.
There have been ridiculous decisions made relative to getting into the Super Bowl. And we saw one just last week with Sean Payton in position to take a 10-0 lead over a team.
Oh, yeah.
That was moved the ball on his defense.
Boy, I'm like, everybody's screaming, what are you doing here? It's that
There's
early in the
snowstorm
game.
on the way, Jim. There was a snowstorm coming, and he knew it. And if he didn't know it, why did he not check the weather? He's playing football outdoors.
Thought he was Kurt Signetti, I guess.
Honestly, that might have even been dumber than throwing the ball from the 1 yard line. Because New England needed you to hand them a touchdown just to get on the board. And if you had gone up 10-0, they would have been down 2 scores. And who knows, maybe you don't ever hand them the ball because you're not in a tie game or you're not in a 7-0 game. You don't know what happens after that. But at the very least, you would have added 3 points to a score that was already a touchdown lead. And there's this new concept that 3 points doesn't matter, Jim. I'll never understand it. Look, I understand that 7 points is more than 3 points. I get that. But the failure rate is there. You don't succeed on all of those. And not only that, this wasn't 4th and goal from the 1 yard line, okay? This was 4th and goal, and then you still have to go and score. Like, this just gets you closer to a slightly closer field goal. Or maybe you then convert that into a touchdown. But it's not an automatic touchdown. If you convert there, you still have to do it. So to not take 3 points, 3 points in football is a lot of points, especially when you consider how much more difficult it is to score a touchdown than it is to kick a field goal.
30 seconds. What's your favorite? Reward. I agree with you. 30 seconds. Your favorite Super Bowl snack?
I'm gonna go with M&Ms.
There you go. Peanut or plain?
The peanut butter.
Oh yeah.
Which my wife doesn't like them. Here's the key to that.
That makes it even better.
Like them, so they're all mine.
That's smart thinking. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News joining us as always. Appreciate you, Ferd.
Thanks, Jim.
Up next in Campbell's Corner, Jim Cruz will join us back with plenty more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas from mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday, and it's Campbell's Corner time. JD Campbell, of course, joining us, and his special guest today, Jim Cruz, former Indiana basketball player, coach at Evansville, St. Louis, Army, a lot of different places. JD, thanks a lot, and Coach Cruz, thank you, sir.
Coach Cruz, we are so excited to have you. This is the 50th anniversary of the undefeated national championship team, and you guys are going to be honored next Monday night. Can you hear me okay?
Not sure that he can hear you or not, but as soon as Coach, when you can hear us, just give us a thumbs up and we'll keep on rolling. But yeah, as they're working on that end there, JD, I'm not sure if they're hearing what you're saying, but yeah, that's just amazing to be a part of that as a player and of all the things he's been a part of as a coach. JD, that was to you.
Jim, now I can't hear you.
All right.
Can you hear me now, JD?
I can now, yes.
There
can
we
you
go.
Hear me?
I wasn't saying anything. That's why you couldn't hear me.
Okay. Well, Jim, I want to tell you how excited I am and thankful to Mr. Coyle. I'm going to have to call Mr. Coyle Jim, and I'm going to call you Coach. Otherwise, we're going to get confused in all of this. But 50 years ago, you were part of a special group that was regarded in 2013 as the greatest college basketball team of all time. And I would just like to get some of your thoughts about reminiscing as you come up on this recognition next Monday night about what that means and what that has meant to you to be part of that. And you're a 2-time NCAA champion here at IU. Not a lot of people can say that. You were a player on the 76 team and an assistant coach on the 81 team.
Yeah, very fortunate. When Coach Knight came into my parents' home, our home in Normal, Illinois, he talked about his vision. And, one of the things that he said that really he said a lot of great things, but one of the things that he really said was, our goal is to win a national championship. He goes, but that's probably pretty common with teams across the country. He goes, but we're going to do it with really good people. You're going to be surrounded by good people, and we're going to follow the rules. And you're going to have to earn everything that you get. You're going to have a great opportunity. We think the timing is right, but you're going to have a great opportunity. Well, there's nothing that was more truthful than that, good people, because now 50 years later, I've had lifetime friends, guys that I met when I was 18 years old, and now 50 years later, they're still my friends. And so you're around good people when when you have 50-year friendship. So that's been special from that standpoint, more so than it was a great accomplishment. It's a good accomplishment the 4 years that we were there, and we feel very proud about that, and we feel good about that. But it's about the relationships that we players have had with coaches and so forth. And that's hard because everyone goes their different directions after school all across the country. And People get married, people have kids, and life gets busy. You got a profession, but to have that connection still is pretty cool.
You know, one of the things that really stands out to me is the progression that the program took under Coach Knight. And you and I had talked about some things the other day. You were part of the first class where freshmen were eligible to play. You didn't have to have a freshman team.
Right.
And so in 73, you end up winning the Big Ten and going to the Final Four in St. Louis. Talk about the year-by-year progression. And I know the disappointment of 75 where you guys had it going. Scott got hurt. And, you know, there was always that what if. But talk about the progression of a program, because you played every year. I mean, you got in the fray as a freshman. And, of course, that was unheard of at the time because freshmen weren't allowed to play.
Right. Well, I think it starts with anything. You have to have a strong foundation. And Coach Knight assembled an outstanding staff to begin with. He had guys that were very good teachers of the game. You know, probably a little misconception, probably if people have never seen a IU practice when Coach Knight was there, is Coach Knight the assistant coaches were coaching. They were teaching individually, collectively, and he kind of overlooked it, and he'd throw in things, obviously, and do the offense, defense. But one assistant might be doing defense, one might be doing the offense, but he had teachers. So it was a developmental thing. So the foundation of his staff was outstanding. Bob Wellig, Dave Bliss, John Holes, those guys were great. And then Bob Donenwald came very quickly after that. But also the guys that Coach Knight inherited, I can't emphasize enough. So my freshman year, the seniors was Steve Downing and John Ritter and Jerry Memmering and Frank Wilson. And those guys, you know, Coach inherited them, and they inherited Coach Knight. So that might not have been easy from both standpoints, but they made it work, and they were so good and so sound. And those guys are still very instrumental in our guys' lives, my life, and my teammates' lives. Then you take the first class. We were the first freshman class, but Coach Knight's first class, which again is building this foundation with Steve Green, John Laskowski, Doug Allen, John Campster, and Steve Allfeld. Now that group and our group, I always kind of considered one class. I mean, it was like a 9-man class, even though it was in 2 different years. It was those guys. We were just that was sound. Those guys, of the ones I just mentioned there, first of all, they're super smart guys. They're not smart. They're super smart guys. They're incredibly competitive and amazingly kind, which is kind of an unbelievable blend if you really think about those 3 things, because they accepted us coming in there, as did Steve Downing and John Ritter and Jerry and Frank. But so that foundation there, and then Coach, and I don't know how long, and I should have asked him. I never did ask him, but he kind of changed college basketball by putting in the motion offense. And the motion offense, the first year he put it in was our freshman year in 73. And what I think he did, first of all, Coach Knight was very, very bright and creative. And he wanted something to stimulate him also, but to fit his the players' abilities. And probably the 2 strongest things about those guys in those 2 or 3 classes was their intelligence and their competitiveness. So what he did is put the motion offense, which totally changed college basketball, and no one could figure it out. And Coach Knight played to, you know, the cerebral part of the game, talking about angles and spacing and timing and maximizing assets and minimizing liabilities individually and collectively. And this is how the game works in terms of how to win. And that was so I think the baseline, JD, was the people and of those classes, the one he inherited, but also the first one he recruited, and then our class. of building something that was very special over that 4-year period.
What was the experience like for you? I remember, again, I was a kid in grade school and in junior high. Following the first Final Four that I ever witnessed as a fan was 73. And that was you guys. And I remember the big redhead went off against Memphis State in the championship, but you had to play UCLA in the semifinals. And it's neat because YouTube now you can go on and see, and they have like the highlight reel of the 73 Final Four on YouTube. And what was that experience like for you and Indiana fans? Because they hadn't won, an NCAA championship since 1953. And here you are in the second year of Coach Knight's tenure, and you're in the Final Four in a place that you can really drive to.
Correct. Well, first of all, during the season, and even before the season, Coach Knight, you could tell how important the Big Ten was to Coach Knight. He was a Big Ten guy, being from Ohio State, and the great success they had when he was a player there, and his affection for that university. But Coach Taylor, probably even more so, a personal relationship with Fred Taylor, his college coach. So the importance of the Big Ten was paramount. That was the number one thing. Never really talked about the NCAA, never talked about Final Four, never talked about national championship that particular year. And so we win the Big Ten on the last day. We beat Purdue on the last day in Assembly Hall. And the next day we have a meeting, and we walk into the locker room, and there's a big sign in the locker room as soon as you walk in that was behind I want to describe something that's hard to describe, but behind the lockers was the first thing that you saw, some lockers. There was a big wooden sign painted, "Home of the Big Ten Champs." And that really got my attention, like, whoa, this is really important. I mean, like, that was I didn't expect that, to tell you the truth. And Coach Knight came in there and explained what's going to happen. He's going to go, okay, guys, and this, I'm probably preluding your question a little bit, but he goes, we're going to go to Nashville, Tennessee, and we're going to play Marquette. Marquette's down there, Kentucky's down there, and Austin Peay's down there. Those are the 4 teams down there. And, it's unlike, it wasn't the national championship, and the Final Four is a huge deal. But the media, in terms, you had newspapers, and you had, ESPN didn't exist back then, and, 24/7 news. And I don't know about sport radio shows. I'm sure they were there.
Nope. They weren't prominent then.
Yeah, I didn't know. So anyway, from that standpoint, you didn't get bombarded with the noise of that like today and 20 years ago and 30 years ago. But so, okay, we're going to go to Nashville. We got to play a game. We got to play Marquette. And I'm not, Marquette might have even been, I can't remember exactly. They might have been number 1 in the country, at least UCLA was number 1. But they were right up there, and great players. And so we played them. And now we got to play Kentucky in the finals to go to the Final Four. And so so we win. Okay, so we win those 2 games. And then Coach Knight goes, okay, next week we're going to St. Louis. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to the Final Four. Okay, next week, this is what we got. And here's the 4 teams in that. Playing UCLA, what was unique about playing UCLA is, let's see, so that was 73, and they had won every one, I think, except for 66, so since 64. So since we were about 8 years old, that's the only team that had won the national championship, except for Texas El Paso in 66. That was the only team. So now you're playing this monster of a reputation, and rightfully so, because Bill Walton, who I think was, he had to be in the top 3 or 4 or whatever, 2, whatever, college basketball players ever. And we played them. And it was interesting. One of the things from a strategic standpoint, UCLA had a famous press, a 2-2-1 press. And the one guy was protecting the bucket, was the big redhead, Bill Walton, who was a great shot blocker. And most people, Coach Knight was explaining, what they would do is they would just try to beat the press. They really wouldn't beat the press. They would just not get beat by the press in terms of, okay, we're just going to get it across midcourt and then we'll set up 5-on-5. We don't want to go against that big Walton back there in the bucket. Coach Knight goes, no, we want to go against him as much as we can. When we have an opportunity, we're going to, because we'd rather play Walton 2 against 1, 3 against 2 than 5 against 5. 5-and-5 is Walton's advantage. 2 against 1, at least we have a numerical, or 3 against 2, a positive advantage. We didn't play very well in the first half, played pretty darn well the second half. It was a close game with about 5 minutes. It was, I think, a 1-point game. Actually, I had a wide open 17-footer. We could have gone up by 1 and I missed, but it was a great game. Great experience. Obviously, we didn't win, which was very disappointing. And then back then they had the third place game. We played Providence, who had tremendous players, and we won that game pretty convincingly. Actually, I think it was like 97-79 in third place game. So actually 3 out of the 4 years that we played, we won the last game of the season, which is really impossible to do, basically. But we did, because the CCA, the next year we won the final game, and then the senior year winning the national championship. So that was good.
75, obviously, the big matchup with Kentucky to go to the Final Four, and you had the injuries. So the disappointment of that hits in, and now you've got a whole off season to think about things. You lose that core of senior guys, Steve and Laz and those guys that had been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. What's the mindset? And off seasons certainly are different now than they were back then.
Correct.
But you get home from the disappointment of that regional. What do you guys do? Do you go back in the gym, or do you just kind of get away? Did you spend the summer in Bloomington? What was going on back then?
No, we didn't.
JD, JD, this would be a good time for a break so we can carry into that part of the story in the next segment, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
No problem.
All right, let's take a quick break. The great coach Jim Crews, former Indiana player, sitting in Campbell's corner, JD Campbell. More coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming, or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era and possibly the greatest college team ever. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at the link on your screen. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Very special guest in Campbell's Corner. JD Campbell, of course, his corner. Jim Cruz, a former player, coach at Indiana, at Evansville, all around St. Louis. St. Louis doing extremely well now. But speaking of hearing that football, Coach Cruz, how shocking is that to see Indiana football on par kind of with Indiana basketball as far as national success?
Oh my goodness. Has that been fun to watch? That's been amazing. Coach Signetti and those staff and those players have brought a lot of joys to Hoosierville across the country. That's been fun. I mean, that's been really fun to watch. They're great. That's obviously an unbelievable story. But I just enjoyed from a standpoint of how, and I think there were some similarities. I've never met Coach Sig.
I was just getting ready to ask you this very question that you're going to answer without me even asking.
I have not met him, but I see a lot of similarities in terms of how they play and his words and the players' words in terms of what's important and everything. Because in my opinion, they've completely dominated fundamentally. They just completely dominate on good habits. They don't beat themselves. They don't have penalties. They don't turn the ball over. They don't, and their emotional strength is incredible. I mean, when they do something good, there's a little excitement, but there's not silliness and whatever. There's probably a lot of adjectives that I'm not favorable in terms of the behavior. I mean, they are so sound and so fundamental and so together. What a joy. What a joy. That is just, I can't think of anything better in sports than the story of Indiana football in the last 2 years.
Did you have a chance to go to Atlanta for one of the games?
I did. I had a friend that was going with their family, and they had a few extra tickets. So he brought a couple of his buddies, and we went down there, and that was electric, especially that first interception in the first 7 seconds of the game or something like that. And which was, did you hear the story about the which I thought was very cool, the equipment man at Oregon? Did you hear this story, JD?
No.
Story is, so in football, some people might not know, is if Indiana has the ball, they play with the ball that Indiana likes, whatever brand is and style.
Yeah.
So Oregon, they have whatever brand they play with. And that's, I'm sure that's not true in the NFL, but in college, it's true. So each team plays with it. Well, the Oregon quarterback throws the pick to the Indiana kid, intercepts the ball. Okay, but that's the Oregon ball. After the game, the Oregon equipment man gave the ball to the Indiana defensive back, which I thought
total class move.
Yeah,
total class move.
Yeah,
but,
very. So the summer before, that's what your question was.
Yeah.
Well, in the spring, and it wasn't a team meeting. It was, and I don't even know why we were in there, to tell you the truth, because a lot of times we didn't work out. We didn't work out in Assembly Hall in the off season. And first of all, there was no workout. So on your own, if you're shooting around, you weren't really shooting around in Assembly Hall. You'd be at the Hyper building or some outdoor court or something.
Yeah.
And we'd be doing that. But there's, I would say, about 4 or 5 of us in there for some reason. I really don't remember. And we're in the locker room and Coach Knight walks in. And so everyone's just kind of chit-chatting. And then finally he just puts on the board, he puts our record of, well, actually it was 2 years before the senior year. So it was after our sophomore year. He puts our record up, which was 23-5. and he circles 5. He goes, "Why do we have to have 5 losses? Why?" So, I mean, I think he was planting even then, like, why lose? Why do you have to lose? You don't have to lose. And so going into that, now this is an interesting thing, because I would say if most people voted, coaches, players, media, in Coach's time, I would say Coach Knight would be voted the most demanding coach, even the top 3 at least. I don't know who the 2 would be. Demanding coach in the country. Well, it was interesting. We didn't have individual workouts. We didn't have a weight program. He let us go home in the summer. We had all kinds of freedom in reality, all kinds of freedom.
And he went fishing.
He went fishing and a lot of different things, but yes. And so that was great. So we go home, and what we do at home is, so everyone went their own way. I mean, the only thing that we would get from Indiana every year, Coach Knight would send us a letter. And in the spring, JD, even when school was going on, we didn't have meetings. I mean, we might have seen Coach once, maybe twice as much, and maybe 0. I mean, we didn't see him. He'd give you space. He trusted us. I'm sure it was, he is monitoring, make sure that we're walking inside the boundaries of the Indiana program, and what really in terms of what our parents believed also. And so that was great. But so when we go home, everyone did their own work. You just make your own workout. And I was very lucky, because in Normal, Illinois, where Illinois State was, actually my dad was an assistant coach, but Illinois State had unbelievable talent in the gym. Doug Collins would be in the gym, and there's going to be a whole slew of people that no one heard of. But a couple other guys were in the gym. Jack Sikma would be in the gym, who played at Illinois Wesleyan, who had a great the Sonics. Tim Stoddard, who won the national championship in 1974, North Carolina State. He was on there at a baseball team, and he was actually ended up playing Major League Baseball. So he was in the gym. So we had all these guys that were tremendous, talented players in our gym when we'd play pickup in the summer. So when you go summer, but the letter would get in the summer, and all the letter he'd kind of capitalize, survey the upcoming season, say what happened last season a little bit, and then have some words about academics and what we should be thinking about academic and so forth and so on with that. And that was it until the start of the next season.
So you get ready for the next season, and you open up the season, I believe, again in St. Louis against UCLA, the first game in the post John Wooden era. And I'm looking at your early non-conference schedule. Not bad. You beat the Bruins by 20. They were number 2 in the country. You had Florida State, where you handled them by 24. Beat Notre Dame, number 8 in the country, and I would assume Dantley probably had been gone by then. You had won 63-60, and then an OT game with Kentucky. And did you feel as though you had picked up where you left off, or did you feel like this maybe would be something different? And because you were a team that had, a little bit of a bullseye on you, were you getting everybody's best shot?
Oh yeah, we're definitely getting everybody's best shot, which was great. I think first of all, it was different. You could tell it was a different team. We weren't as explosive offensively. Greeno and Laz were really, really good offensive players. And so, we really went deep. I mean, I don't remember what the average points of, but I would say it's pretty close to probably mid to high 80s, without the 3-point line. That's up there pretty good. So, yeah, so that was different. And then I'm sorry, what's your second part of that question?
Well, the question I have is, as you realize, you get through UCLA, which is always, that's kind of the benchmark in college basketball, but you faced it head on early. Right. Now you get the big win, good close game against Notre Dame, an overtime game with Kentucky. Now you're starting to get it going. And then another another trip that we talked about was going to New York, and
Right.
that iconic picture of you guys carrying your own laundry.
That's right.
In suits.
That's
No gear. I don't even know what kind of shoes you guys wore back then.
I think we were Adidas at the end. I think we started in Converse maybe the first year. Those Chuck Taylor Converse shoes, which no wonder we had blisters on our feet about that big. But you mentioned bullseye. I think that was one of our strengths, JD. Is I think that really. I mean, no matter what arena, we went to not Mackey, but Williams Arena up in Minneapolis. We got off the got off the bus, and 19,000 people were already there, packed out. We hadn't even gotten in the locker room to get dressed, 19,000. They had 5,000 in the hockey rink next door, watching it on big screen TV or whatever, not big screen TV, but a big screen back then. But that was, I think that we thrived and loved the competition that everybody was against us when we went on the road. We get in that bus in front of Assembly Hall, and it's just the 20 of us, whatever the number was, the managers, the coaches, and the players, 20 of us, and it's us against everyone else, and they're going to give us their best shot. And I honestly think we played much better on the road than we did at home for the most part. I know we were locked in really, really well when we were on the road because we knew we could get beat any night, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun playing on the road when again, everyone's enthusiasm is against you. And so, it's kind of like the circus was coming to town and they wanted to knock off us guys. So that was very cool. And then playing in Madison Square Garden at the time, I don't know if it still exists. It probably doesn't. But that was the largest crowd to ever see a college basketball game. And we played 3 games in the Garden and finished up playing against St. John's with the biggest crowd. And St. John's was Hall of Famer, Coach Carnesecca. That was a great game, and they ended up playing them in the first game. I don't know if that was a senior year. I think it was senior year, maybe junior year. We played St. John's the first game. I can't remember if that was junior.
Columbia, Manhattan, and then St. John's.
Yeah. If anyone wants to look it up, I think it would. Do they still have Sport Magazine?
No.
Okay.
No, but I had a subscription.
The Columbia coach was a guy named Tom Penders. And Tom Penders ended up going to Texas, and I can't remember everywhere else he coached. And
Rhode Island.
We're playing Columbia, and he wrote an article after that tournament. And the article was our scouting report. And he gave the scouting report, and I'm paraphrasing it, but okay, we want to hold May to under 12 points. We want to get Benson in foul trouble. We want about 8 things. 8 things, and they all came true, and we beat them by 40 or 50 points. So it was kind of a comical thing. We did everything we wanted, and we still got beat by 40 or 50. But so that was a great experience. Playing in Madison Square Garden is I wish every college player could have that experience, or coaching in it, which I had the privilege of doing both. And so that was extremely rewarding. And looking back, and that iconic picture, you're right, the laundry. We just had a little knit bag, and after practice, we'd throw it in there, and they'd throw it in the laundry, and then we'd have to, and you put a pin in it so it wouldn't fall out. We were carrying our own laundry back in the day.
Jim, one of our viewers here would like me to ask you, who is the best college player that you ever played against, and maybe who is the best college player that you've ever seen? And maybe it's one of our guys, because obviously a lot of great players throughout your tenure.
I mean, I don't know, but Walton being 6'11" and as well as he could touch, the game that you mentioned, our freshman year, when we were playing the third place game, he was playing the championship, 21 out of 22. And we watched that game. And I think Coach made us, wanted us to see that national championship experience because we were playing in the preliminary game. So we didn't take off right after that. But Bill Walton, Scott May, Doug Collins, Illinois State, unbelievable. He was a NBA All-Star 4 out of 8 years, and he was hurt all the time in the NBA. But Doug was 6'6", so fast, high energy, high energy kind of guy, and a very, very brilliant basketball mind with that. So those three, I'm trying to think. I didn't play against, but we coached. Magic Johnson was good, obviously. But so I've been blessed to see a lot of Earl Monroe. I saw Earl Monroe, great player. Saw him play his last collegiate game in Evansville when he was playing at Winston-Salem, winning the national championship. He was averaging 44 points a game. So Earl Monroe would be right at the top also.
The Pearl, you mentioned a few players that I want to bring up. You didn't mention Pete Turgovich, who was on that UCLA team, I think, in '73. But he can't hear me, JD. I don't know if you can.
I can hear you.
Tim Stoddard, Pete Turgovich, and Wes Unseld, I believe, was on the East Chicago, Washington or Roosevelt team in '71 that beat my high school, Floyd Central. But those three guys were on that damn team that won the state championship. Many considered the best ever.
Hello.
I can hear you, Jim. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can.
I can't hear you.
Just roll on with it, JD. You can ask him that question. He can't hear me.
I did not hear that. I'm sorry. I didn't hear anything.
Oh, that's all right. I was talking about, there's several guys, Tim Stoddard that you mentioned, then Pete Turgovich, who was also on that UCLA team, and Wes Unseld. Well, they were all on the same high school team.
Junior Bridgman,
that's what it was. Junior Bridgman, thank you. Went to Louisville. But all three of those guys on the same high school team, of all things, that beat my high school in the Final Four. But, they were loaded, man.
Yeah, I'd say, and Tim won the national championship at North Carolina State. Pete won it in UCLA, and Louisville went to the Final Four and got beaten a heartbreaker by UCLA with Junior Bridgman.
And didn't Stoddard pitch in Major League Baseball?
Yes. Won the World Series.
Yeah, for like 10 years. Yeah.
79.
Yeah. He was a mountain.
Crazy.
Man. He was a mountain of a man. He was a big dude now. Big, strong.
Jim Cruz with us in Campbell's Corner. Of course, JD Campbell. Got lots more coming up. Glad to have you with us on this Tuesday. Very special. Back with plenty more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas from mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. Welcome back on this Tuesday. Jim Coyle with you as always, and we're so fortunate here in Campbell's Corner. JD Campbell, of course, Coach Jim Cruz, former IU basketball player, coach here, coach at Evansville, at St. Louis, as well as Army. But and how about St. Louis right now, Coach? Man, they are killing it. Schertz was at Indiana State, and they were like 21-1 or something.
That's killing it. If you're 21-1, that's killing it. That's great.
You know, Jim Coyle, I would be remiss. Okay. I would be remiss.
Can't hear you. I can't hear you.
That's all right. Just say, go ahead and talk to me, JD.
Okay. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we are fortunate to have the 2013 National Coach of the Year in Jim Cruz, who unfortunately had to take over a program with the illness and the subsequent passing of Coach Rick Majerus at St. Louis. And he led the Billikens to 2 straight NCAA tournaments and was lauded by the NABC and Sporting News as National Coach of the Year. The other thing about Jim that I would want to mention to our fans is that Jim was also he has his number or whatever they do in Evansville, retired at Evansville. So we're going to keep working on trying to get Jim back on here to finish up our segment. Jim,
Coach, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but he can't hear me either. So hopefully his hearing comes back in. But yeah, it's an amazing thing to achieve that, no less anywhere, but to achieve it how he did. It was spectacular. So hopefully, get him back in here. And soon, Coach, if you can hear us at any time, just give us a thumbs up. He still can't hear us, it looks like. So I'm going to step out, JD, see if you can talk and see if it keeps rolling.
All right, Jim, do you got me yet?
Just keep talking, then just let him. He can talk whenever he hears us. So you keep rolling, and hopefully he'll bounce in.
Well, Coach Cruz, looking at the accomplishments at Evansville, 17 years, and he really got them to the NCAA tournament 4 times. 6 times total with
Hello.
I hear you now.
Hello.
You can
I can't
talk.
hear anything.
Okay.
JD, you just keep going, brother. We'll work about him.
Okay. No, I mean, I think that, I got a chance to see his 1992 team play in Cincinnati at the old MCC tournament, and they were dominant. They were extremely dominant back then. And he had a wonderful group. His team always competitive. And, of course, we all know in Evansville, which is part of this network, just love basketball, and they love the tradition with Jerry Sloan and all those things that have made the Purple Aces such a big following. And that beautiful facility they have now, the Ford Center. But Jim was a big time reason, and he was recognized, and that is terrific. Looking at the other part of Jim's career, within a year after graduation, he became an assistant coach full-time for IU and was that way until 1985 when he left for Evansville. And it was just, a remarkable run for him at IU, part of the 81 championship where they were absolutely dominant, Mr. Coyle. You're down in Southern Indiana. Evansville was a big deal when Jim was coach there.
Absolutely. They've always had a great run. They've got a great history there. And it's just college sports have changed, but even the Southern Indiana down there, they have great basketball down in that part of the. How many IU guys have come out of there? How many great athletes have come out of Evansville?
Calbert Cheney was an assistant coach for him at St. Louis, and I know,
we're just playing, yeah.
Yeah, it's again a wonderful basketball career for Coach, and he, remarkable that he got to see some of the most important moments in the history of modern IU basketball, being with the program really from 73 through 85, a very important 12-year period.
Absolutely. Obviously a important part of so many different programs, whether it's Indiana, it's Evansville, it's St. Louis, it's Army. Anytime you can impact that many programs, it's an amazing thing. And I hate that he can't hear us right now, because we could hear him if he knew what we were talking about. But the 2013 NABC Coach of the Year, the success they had at Evansville, success they had at St. Louis. I mean, started out there 28-7, 27-7, NCAA tournament twice there, the first 2 seasons. I mean, a lot of success for Coach Cruz at a coaching standpoint as well. But Coach, if you can hear anything, just start talking. Unfortunately, he still can't hear us for some reason. Not understanding what that issue is. That's kind of crazy. That usually doesn't happen, but we'll keep on rolling and hope he can join in. But because it's certainly been an amazing, fun stories listening to him talk about all this stuff, JD.
Well, and again, you have a front row. He had a front row seat. He had a front row seat to it. And
absolutely.
And the 81 championship, one of the most dominant runs you ever see a team go through the NCAA tournament after they fell behind Maryland in Dayton. That team was really, really one of the most dominant tournament teams that we've ever seen.
Well, you can call him on the phone and just tell him what we're talking about.
Okay.
He can respond. Hey, man, this is live. When you got it going live,
well,
that's what you got to do sometimes. That's right, baby. You got to make it happen. You got to make hay when the sun is shining. So hopefully he knows that they're going to call Coach. And getting back with us, man, those stories were absolutely fantastic. And to be a part of all of the different things. I mean, you're talking about the early part of Coach Knight's career, the undefeated team, then the coaching aspect after that, then coaching on his own after that as well. So hopefully he'll pick up here the phone and he'll get the message there. There we go. He's being handed the phone. So now he's talking to you.
I got the phone. My wife had the phone. Okay.
I'm going to JD. You can let him know what you want to talk about. That way your mic's off, and go ahead and tell him what we were talking about. And then that way he can pick it up with it.
Talking about a lot of things, and you can go ahead and talk into your phone. But really what we want to talk about is the remarkable career and the great moments that you've seen at Indiana up close, 12 years as a player and assistant coach. And we were talking about a little bit about the 81 team and how dominant that team was in terms of its run after falling behind against Maryland and Dayton and the run on that championship. And there's a great picture of you in that locker room in the Spectrum back then. And your thoughts on maybe the difference between winning the championships as a player and then also as a coach.
Yeah, that's a good question. I probably won't have a great answer on that because it's a totally different perspective from a coach and a player and everything. The 81 team became dominant. It was really interesting. We were playing at Iowa, and if you remember right, we started the season like 7-5, which is not too dominant. And we're playing at Iowa, and we're getting kicked. We are getting kicked bad. The game's over by the score, but there's 4 minutes, 5 minutes left, and Iowa starts going to a four corners, the old Dean Smith four corners, and they had a 6'5" guy named Kevin Boyle who was handling the ball, and Landon Turner hadn't been in the game much at all, and Landon was guarding Kevin Boyle, who's handling the ball, and Landon was about 10 feet off him, so he wasn't guarding too tough. He's way off of him because Landon's 6'10" long. So Coach Knight kept telling him, get on him, pressure him. And the game's over. But Landon got into him, and all of a sudden Landon got in the stance, spread out those arms, and kind of dominated defensively. We could see what he did defensively. And what Coach did is he moved Landon to a defensive forward, Ray Tolbert to a defensive forward. So we had these long, athletic, quick guys on the wings, and moved Ted Kitchell, who was tough as nails, no one more competitive than Ted, great player, into center. Ted couldn't pressure people like those guys did, but he could guard all those big guys, including Buck Williams at Maryland, which you mentioned, the Maryland game, JD. And from then on, we did not get beat. We dominated rest of the season when that move was thing. And it was cool about it from once getting into coaching is, even though when the game's over, you can still learn things about your team. And certainly we learned a big thing about our team that day in Iowa City that changed the whole complexion of the season.
One of the great memories that I had in my job was
seeing your group and the group of all of Coach Knight's former players join him a few years ago when he came back to Assembly Hall. Can you talk a little bit about the emotions and some of the feelings and what that day was like to be able to see him come back and get the recognition that it was so, it gave a lot of closure to people, but I know the emotion, you could see it on your faces, how much that day meant to you and everybody else in that program. Talk a little bit and how meaningful and what it was like.
When Coach Knight left Indiana, that was not under the best of circumstances from anyone's standpoint. And so that was been rough. And putting that thing together and Coach Knight coming back, they had it set up in the, I don't even know what they call it. Maybe is it called the Cook Hall. And so, they had really just the players and Coach Knight and so like a food gathering and everything. And really we did, and they had TVs to watch the game if we wanted to watch the game, or we could have gone out to thing, but everyone stayed in there talking to Coach, talking to each other. And what was cool is, so now you had 30 years of former players. Well, you really have to make a pretty good effort just to stay close to the players that you played with, because as I said earlier, everyone's life gets busy. Everyone goes around the country, blah, 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 as life takes us. Now you got 30 years and the connection that each player had, guys that you never met, as soon as you start talking to, it's just instant, because everyone knows, the demands, the responsibilities, the accountability, the ups, the downs that go through being an Indiana basketball player and playing for Coach, that you connected. So it was neat, just not only from Coach Knight of honoring him and honoring those 30 years with the fans, is behind the scenes of connecting with guys, some of them you've never met before, to tell you the truth. And it was an instant connection there. And, some guys were 20 years younger than because Coach Knight was there so long. And so that was a very special day, and it's special for the fans. And as I think that you mentioned there, or I know you mentioned about the closure a little bit in terms of that experience brought to everybody. So that was very, very, that was very cool. And Coach coming back, I'm trying to think. Yeah, Coach was living in Bloomington then. So Coach when he got done retiring in Bloomington was great because, there was just constant people coming in to visit him, in the last several years of his life. That was very meaningful for him and very meaningful for us. I mean, I know one of my former players at Evansville, he just showed up at Coach Knight. He never met Coach Knight in his life. And he just showed up at the door and he just wanted to meet Coach Knight and talk to him. And Coach and Karen were kind enough to let him in and chit chat and everything else. But that was very cool. That was a special day and a very rewarding day for, I think, a lot of people.
JD, I don't know that Coach can hear me, but if you can please let him know that we are so grateful. I know everyone has absolutely loved this and is so appreciative of everything that he has done for us today, man. This has been a really fun time. Hopefully this is something we get to do again because the stories are fantastic. They never go away and they never get old. So thank both of you for making this happen today.
Appreciative of you coming on today and the great stories. And hopefully we can do this another time as well. Because you have a lot of great stories that, there's so much we didn't even get into that we could have. Some of the, we were talking about our good friend Royce Waltman and how much all the guys that you worked with and some of the stories and the, going out golfing or tennis or the competitiveness that we could have a whole week of shows, I think, going over some of the things, because I know it was great to see Coach Knight and get a chance to see him come back to the program my last couple of years. But Jim, we can't thank you enough, and
my pleasure.
we'll make sure we make this kind of an annual or semi-annual thing, because I've got a lot of questions, and I'm sure you've got a lot of funny stories that you'll be open to share. Even just our conversation on the phone the other day, I learned so much.
Enjoyed doing this and appreciate you having me on, and best of luck with your continued success with this. I guess this is a podcast. I don't even know what it is.
Radio show, podcast, it's everything, man. We got it all going. But Coach, I can't thank you enough. JD, can't thank you enough either. Man, I look forward to it. We got to get out and have lunch soon. But thank you so much to JD Campbell. Thank you so much to Mike DeCourcy and of course, Coach Jim Cruz.
Jim, you still there?
Yes, sir. Get ready to take her out here a second. Just be right back with you. But yeah, that's live radio, baby. You get to enjoy it all. Enjoy the rest of your day. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.